Like, I think 90% of the Australians are actually accidental investors.
There's always a question in buyers' mind, like, is this the right time to buy or should I wait?
You should be investing in property if you want the capital growth.
How do we take that decision, and when do we know when to let go, when to sell?
What's your go-to way for explaining to people what buyer's agents actually do?
You can have an advocate for you who can do your due diligence, make suggestions, make recommendations.
In terms of, say, this rental crisis, how have you seen investor mindset change?
Do you think the demand is shifting towards particular types of property over the years?
We paid them $18,600 cash upfront to source a property for us. They took money from me, and 3 months I did not hear from them. And on the third month, when they found a property for me, I was pretty much at gunpoint.
Hello and welcome back to Chilli Flakes, the podcast where bold conversations meet real-world heat. I'm Eid. I'm joined here today with my good friend Riyasat to bring you this episode. This episode is one for property lovers, the savvy investors, and pretty much anyone who's trying to navigate through this hot mess that we call today's housing market. Being a real estate buyer's agent myself, I'm proudly sponsoring today's episode because our guest today is someone who lives and breathes property just like me. He's the founder and lead buyer's agent for Prime Pursuit Properties, Shabbab Murtaza. Shabbab, welcome to Chilli Flakes. How are you going?
Hey, thank you. It's really nice to finally be here. We have been chatting about this for a while now, and it's almost like a dream come true.
Thank you. You flew in from Melbourne as well.
I did.
To do this, and you also have a flight right after this, so we'll just try to get onto it really quickly. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of real estate and property, maybe tell us a bit about yourself, your journey, and how you came into this real estate industry.
Cool. And so I usually get really excited about this question and just blabber on for a long, long time.
Sure.
But today, if I go off script, then I'm going to learn a really expensive lesson and miss my flight. So try to keep it within 5 minutes, all right? So my journey, I came to Australia in 2013 as an international student, did my Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in accounting. After graduation, I started working for the big corporates as an analyst. I eventually became a chartered accountant, worked as a financial controller, and moved on to financial planning and strategy side of things. So pretty much, to cut a long story short, I was leveraging data for big corporates to maximize their profit and revenue, right? So, and I was actually killing it in that job. Right. So I think in the first 5 years of my corporate life, I had 3 promotions, right? And multiple Employee of the Year awards. But there was always that feeling that I had that I was never feeling fulfilled, right? Because I felt like I have some good skills and experience and good work ethic. But whatever I was doing, I was just making our bosses richer.
Running for someone else, basically.
Correct. And I wanted to use my talents somehow to help my friends and family members, or start my own business that can actually help my uncle, actually help my neighbor, actually help anyone and everyone. So I thought, okay, how do I get there, right? Because I'm an immigrant in Australia, and I think that by that time I've already become a permanent resident. So what I did was I thought, okay, in order to get started on my own, I need money. What's the fastest way to make money? I explored, obviously we had our income from our job, but then we were also looking into side hustles. Like I explored the stock market, I explored the crypto market, bear market, and played in those markets, made some money, realized it was not really passive income. It was very stressful because you had to actually monitor the markets on a daily basis. And then I came into property investment, right? So we were very fortunate that we bought our first home in Sydney just before COVID or during COVID. And our property price went up really, really high, like 45% in 6 months. That was crazy growth. And then we were like, okay, how do we repeat this miracle? Right? So, and that can probably fund enough cash flow for me to quit my job and start my own business full time. So we started looking into property investing, right? And what I understood that I could actually leverage the equity on my own property and buy another property pretty much without putting any money from my pocket. The only money that I would need to put in is towards the mortgage. But if the mortgage can get covered by the rent, then pretty much I get to own another asset with zero money. It's like, that's an interesting concept. Now, where do I find a property like that? Right? So I started looking, I started researching, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos and podcasts. Then I came across the concept of buyer's agents, right? So I saw that there was a buyer's agent who was actually helping clients invest wherever the properties were making money. And my wife and I, at that point in time, we were very intrigued. And we were like I was always a property enthusiast as well, right? So I did a lot of my research, but I did not have the experience back then to invest on a property, especially in a different state, on my own. So we then engaged that buyer's agent. They advertise themselves as the number one buyer's agent. Pretty much whenever someone talks about investing in property, they are most likely to get flooded with sponsored ads from this particular buyer's agent. So we paid them $18,600 cash upfront to source a property for us, right? And they ended up buying us this property, which, performed really well. But, it always got me wondering, did they actually service me in the best possible way? They took money from me, and 3 months I did not hear from them. And on the third month, when they found a property for me, I was pretty much at gunpoint. I either had to commit to it, or I was going to lose my $18,600 deposit or full service fee that I had paid to them. And I didn't like that service. I was like, okay, you've got the results somewhat, but the service was horrible. And if I was running this business, I could actually provide people much better service, right? So, and then obviously after securing our first investment property, I went into research mode. I was like, okay, these data points that these buyer's agents have shared with me, how do I go and get them on my own, right? Are there other data points that I should be looking at? And I did multiple property investment courses. And then the next year, we bought our second investment property, right? We bought it for $100K less than what our first buyer's agent bought it for. And that property has surplussed the growth of our first one, right? And that told me, okay, I have just beaten the number one buyer's agent, right? Just in terms of results. Fast forward, my wife and I, we purchased 5 properties all over Australia, right? In a span of 4 years.
It's very impressive.
Right?
It's pretty good.
And just last year, we thought, we're doing a pretty good job on our own. Now I finally have the money to, quit my job, or at least I have 1 year's of salary saved up or built up in terms of equity in our property. Why not take the risk? What's the worst that can happen? If I fail in this business, I can always go back to becoming a corporate employee, right? And here we are now. We were targeting 10, 15 clients for the first year, and we have serviced 35 clients in our first 12 months with zero marketing, zero referral fees.
That's excellent. So essentially motivated by trying to help people get a better service. And obviously, you figured out that your analytical skills were probably better than whoever this number one buyer's agent was.
I think that's how it starts anyway, right? You go through an experience where you're like, there are rooms of improvement.
Yeah.
And instead of suggesting it to someone else, why don't I jump in?
Yeah.
So
That's excellent.
I did suggest it to them, and they were like, yeah, feedback taken.
Yeah.
That's it. It was pretty much like, the Ferrari versus Lamborghini movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar moment, but yeah.
At least they took the fee. But so that's sort of your journey towards entrepreneurship and buyer's agency. Now, that's pretty impressive, I must say. With this buyer's agency concept, I don't know if it's new, but it's still not saturated as such in the market. We're still trying to educate the market. Some would say we're trying to disrupt it, if you will, standing by the buyers. What's your go-to way for explaining to people what buyer's agents actually do? And as you obviously answered that, we could probably also understand a bit about what Prime Pursuit Properties provides to their clients, if we just touch base on that so that people can understand.
Sure. So you were right. Not many people, I think, of all of my friends and family members who are living here in Australia, I think probably around 30% of them know what a buyer's agent really does.
Yeah.
I read a statistic somewhere that 80% of the real estate transactions in US are done through a buyer's agent. In Australia, it's probably less than 5%. So it's a very emerging niche market, but it probably has the highest growth trajectory, right? So what does a buyer's agent do? In the real estate market, you've got sales agents who are representing the sellers, but the buyers feel like they're not, there is actually no one representing the buyers. Yes, the buyers, in terms of buying the property, they do, when they actually get their offer accepted, they hire a solicitor, they engage a pest and building inspector, some of them might even go to a mortgage broker or directly go to their bank. But in order to even get there, a lot of people need help. I remember when my wife and we were looking for our first property to live in Sydney, we looked for 8 months. And I think that is a shared experience for everyone in this room, right? So with a buyer's agent, you can actually fast track that process. Like you can have an advocate for you who can do your due diligence, make suggestions, make recommendations. You can leverage their experience to actually get a better deal and get into the real estate market as fast as possible, save you time, save you months of time doing, going to open homes, getting disheartened when you miss out on a property in your auctions. And some of them are actually also capable of getting properties off market as well. So it actually helps you avoid competition completely, right? So I think in other words, you have someone who's working for the buyers. Sellers agents will say all nice things about the property because they are representing the sellers, right? They will always say the right things about a suburb because they're not just selling the property, they're selling the suburb, they're selling the lifestyle. You don't have anyone guiding you. Okay, you can probably get all of these things in a similar on the neighboring suburb at a cheaper price, which is more likely to grow in value, right? So I think that's where buyer's agents come in. And Prime Pursuit Properties is actually even more niche in terms of buyer's agency because we generally help clients who are looking to buy investment properties. We have helped a few first home buyers as well, but their mindset of buying the investment property was, this is not going to be my forever property. I'm probably going to upgrade in the next 3 years. So even though I'm going to live in this property, I'm buying it with the intention of investing in it, right? So that's what we do. We leverage data and we find the warm spots, not the hot spots, before they're about to get hot. And we help source the properties for the clients. We then handhold them through the buying process. We recommend all the pest and building inspectors, solicitors, brokers, whatever they need to get the deal done. We're like a one-stop solution. And after the property gets sold, if it's an investment property, we are also helping in terms of getting the property tenanted as well by collaborating with the local property managers. So for an investor, we are trying to provide that one-stop solution. And we also try to monitor the investor's portfolio and give them monthly reporting around how their investments are performing.
Yeah, sounds good. And Shabbab, you have clearly explained like what a buyer's agent does and what you guys do in general. But some people have the mentality that I can just do it cheaper myself, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's a fee involved, which can go towards the deposit. So what would be your elevator pitch for someone who says, why would I pay you 15 or 20 grand, which can add to my deposit? Why? And all the data's there, like it's open data. Obviously, you guys have subscription to something that common people don't have. But most, like, you can always hear that my uncle has bought here, my friend has bought here, I'll just buy in the same place. So what is your elevator pitch which says, guys, trust me because I got this?
To all the clients who have come in, they've actually told me, Shabbab, you're like a very bad salesperson. Because I've told them, hey, why are you coming to me as a client? You can do this on your own. It's easy. It's like a lot of the buyer's agents are out there in the market.
Yeah.
They're selling buyer's agency service like it's brain surgery. And their buyer's agents are like equivalent to doctors. It's not. I tell my clients it's more like lawn mowing, right? I was actually telling Eid the other day, analyzing the data, looking at the data when the data is in front of you, and analyzing it, and then taking a decision and saying, okay, I'm going to select Suburb X. Suburb X looks like a good investment location, right? It's fun. Everybody loves analyzing the data when it's in front of you. What about researching? What about doing the data entry? How much time does it take, right? And let's say, fine, you've analyzed the data, you've finally decided this is the suburb I'm going to buy. And chances are, if you've done your due diligence correctly, it's actually a really hot market. Guess what? In a hot market, the good deals do not stay for longer than 24 to 48 hours.
Of course.
Right? So do you, in between your corporate job, or if you're a healthcare worker, emergency service worker doing 8 or 9 hour shifts, do you actually have the time to make 21 offers? Do you have the time? Go for it. That's why I pitch it to our clients like, we're like your lawnmowers, right? You can do it yourself. We'll just save you time, and whatever you pay us, you guess, because real estate is a timing thing. If you get into the market right now, instead of 6-7 months, then you can probably build up 10 times the equity of what you're paying us.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we are here to do. We are here to save time for busy professionals.
It seems like Shabbab has mastered the art of reverse psychology.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Or I'm just putting the truth out there.
No, makes sense. Another question I had, Shabbab, was when it comes to investing, people have a concept that why would I invest interstate when I can invest in the next greenfield suburb that's next to where I live, right? So first of all, like why should we be thinking of investing interstate where I wouldn't probably even see the property in person in months? And number two, like where do buyer's agents actually fit in? Is it sub 1 million or sub $500,000 to $600,000 properties, or is it high-end properties?
Cool. Very good question, because I will be putting my hands up and saying the answer to that question is probably way above my pay grade, because you've got the coin analysts who are servicing, Bondi Beach clients, and they're helping them purchase $6-7 million properties, right? Luxury properties for them to go and live in. And that's not an area where we play in. I am more for the affordable people of Australia, right? So I read a statistic somewhere that I guess the property affordability for 80% of the Australian is actually on that 600 to 700K mark, right? So those are the people that I'm representing, right? And we, even though, like I said, like we can help people secure their principal place of residence, we try to focus more on the investment side, on assets that will grow in value. But people are not just buying properties for investment reasons. They're also buying because they've made money. Now they just want to cash out and reward themselves. So the factors for buying a property for your own living is different from the factors that suggest, which are the areas that are going to grow in value, right? So I think, like we should, we will probably, where we position ourselves is we are here for the investors who are investing within that 5 to 600K. And interstate investing is, that's where interstate investing comes up. Because as a Sydney-sider, as someone who've lived in Sydney for 7 years, I see majority of the Sydney-siders have this mentality that, property prices only grow in Sydney. That's why they're the most expensive one, right? So in our situation, when we bought our property for $1,025,000 and it went up to 1.45, our mortgage broker told us we could go up to 5 to 600K for our first investment property. Now, I wasn't back then, I did not have the knowledge that I have today, right? But I knew this much, that for 5 to 600K, I could only buy a unit or a townhouse in Sydney, right? And I learned this through my researches or the free YouTube videos or podcasts of real estate gurus that I used to watch back then, is unit and townhouses in Sydney do not grow in value that much. They're good asset for negative gearing. They're good asset for getting high rental yield. Although the strata eats that up.
Yeah.
But luckily for me, I was in Perth before I came to Sydney, right? And I saw in Perth you could buy freestanding homes for 5 to 600K, and the rental income was actually closer to what people pay here in Sydney. So I was like, okay, so why don't I invest in Perth? So that's the reality of the situation. When you're living in capital cities, 40% of the Australian populations are actually living in regional cities. So if you're actually investing where the data makes sense, right? So investing where your asset will have the highest return on your return on investment, instead of, looking at the media bias or whatever your bias is telling you, then you will always find that the affordable markets within the 5 to 600 or 5 to 700K are the ones that has the highest potential to give the highest return on investment, right? So that's why I love investing outside of Sydney and probably Melbourne.
Good one. And as a potential investor myself, how would you describe the current market in your opinion? And which state or city do you see as a future boom? As you said, warm, not hot. So which state or city would you see as the warm prospect which is coming up? And there's always a question in buyer's mind, like, is this the right time to buy or should I wait?
Yep.
So how do we take that decision, and when do we know when to let go, when to sell?
Such a good question. So I can only answer that from my own personal experience, right? So when you ask me about the market, right, I guess the first mistake most people make is they're looking at the entire real estate industry as one market. This is the problem, right? This is not like the stock market. When the stock market crashes, almost 70 to 80% of the stocks go down in value.
Each and every effect.
Correct. Each and every suburb has their own individual economy, right? When Sydney was booming during COVID time, Perth was stagnant. Perth was stable, right? When Perth was booming, Queensland was stable. When Queensland was booming, Victoria was going down, right? So it's all about, there's no such thing as the perfect timing. It's all about when you are ready, what and where is the right market for me.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I tell my clients that your strategy is different to my strategy. My strategy is different to 5 other people's strategy. It all starts with your budget. If you currently have a pre-approval or up to 600K, we will sit down with you. We will assess what is your affordability. And then we will look into the markets that suits your strategy best, right? Within the 600K and this much rental return that you need, which is the market that will, from this moment onwards, will have the highest growth trajectory. And we will find them and we will go and buy it for our clients over there. Right.
That's interesting. So you're saying the first thing you consider when building a strategy for a client would probably start with the finances as to what the pre-approval amount is. Is there anything that you do to tailor your strategies or the approach of strategies for different people? Like, because you have got first-home buyers, you've got owner-occupiers who want to just live there, you've got investors who want to keep growing their portfolio. So how do you navigate around building strategies for these different types of buyers?
So a first-time investor will have a completely different strategy, right? They want a good foundation property, which will not only give quick growth in the short term,
Right.
but also consistently grow 4 to 5% almost every year, right? And because they're a first-time investor, they probably don't want to deal with too much maintenance. They want a good, solid brick structure property, probably not too old.
Like a hassle-free property.
Hassle-free, because that's the big. Even when I was a first-time state investor, I actually bought like a 2004 to 2006 built property.
Newish.
And newish, right? Which was a home and land package probably back in the day, right? Which is what my number one buyer's agent got me, right? But then as I became an experienced investor, I started buying, properties with renovation potential, with big land size. Sorry, apologies for the word. My first investment property that I bought was 986 square meter in terms of land. And it was in Perth back then in 2022. It was in R30 zone. What it means that it can be subdivided into
that
three.
would have been my next point. I'm sure you checked all of that. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, the property that my number one buyer's agent got me could not be subdivided. And the growth that I had from that property surpassed the growth of the first investment property in a shorter amount of time. Right? So clients who are at different stage of their investment journey, the strategy differentiates, right? So there are some investors as well who already have 4 or 5 properties. Now they actually want to buy the next property under probably their family trust. And they just want to flip it in 2 years. And they want to leverage the family trust to distribute the profit, the gain from those, the reno flip project, what we call it, right? So the property for them, the location for them will be different, versus the location for the first-time investor will be different.
Very different here.
So
it's a very tailored approach.
Absolutely. Even though they might have the same budget, the goals are different.
Of course.
So that's why the markets will be different. That's why the property will be different.
I guess you emphasize a lot on the brief with them before you get into that.
Absolutely. The brief is the most crucial part of success. If you get the brief wrong, you will get the entire process wrong.
And I think I agree with that. And I think also Riyasa touched a bit on why we should engage buyer's agents. You can do it yourself.
Absolutely.
Is there any example that you have where you can explain to us where people try to do it by themselves and they made a big mistake? So what's the biggest mistake you've seen?
So this weekend, I actually signed up a client who had a consultation call with me in January.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
In January, and now he's calling me again. He's like, wait, I've done this on my own. Now I want to go through you. Right.
Yes,
So he came back. So I hope he did not learn an expensive lesson, but I guess what he was doing was he was in these Facebook groups. He was looking at what are the areas others are talking about, and he was getting partial information, and then he was trying to react to those information. He was not taking a proactive approach. Eventually, he was sensible enough to not invest 100K of his savings or deposit just based on chatter on Facebook property forums, right?
Or friends and family.
Or friends and family, or that one uncle in your barbecue who just says he knows it all, right? He bought properties for $25,000. Now they're $2 million. So nobody knows property market more than him, right?
There's always an uncle.
There's always that uncle, right? They're always usually the loudest one in the tables as well, right? So I think in this instance, the client really had that realization that in the amount of time I wasted in terms of decision fatigue, right? In terms of confusion, and also when I finally understood that this was a good market, then I was actually struggling to call the agents. Because in a hot market, what tends to happen is you've got 40, 50 people competing for a property. So if you're not going to be proactive and consistent and persistent, you're going to miss out on the deal. And also, if you've not done your due diligence on the property, you won't know what is the right price to offer, right? What is the win price to offer? So in this journey, this client had lost 8 months, and I showed to him, had you signed up with me then, these are the properties that we bought for our clients in January. And a lot of these properties have already had a minimum growth of 17.5%. So for a 500K property, so your opportunity cost right now, based on the data, is $80,000. That's what you lost by not wanting to pay a buyer's agent $13,000.
I think that realization is key. 13 versus 80K for a matter of months, not years.
Correct. Yeah. And I understand, because there's so many buyer's agents out there marketing themselves, and what if the property that I buy that don't grow in value. And I fully understand that, right? Because even $13,000 for people whose budget is buying a 500 to 600K property, it's a lot. That's why you should get yourself a buyer's agent who will proactively share all the information with you transparently through the journey. That actually builds up confidence. The funny part is clients who sign up with us, when the first property we present to them, they're very skeptic, right? They're like, we are planning on submitting an offer above asking price. I was like, yes, that's because the asking price is a bait pricing. And we've done our due diligence, but hey, you know what? We'll submit the price that you're recommending. Let's see how the deal flies. And then 3 weeks later, we give him the feedback that the property sold 50K more than the highest asking price. Right? But we would have, because we have the relationship with the agent, and we would have submitted a quick offer that accept our offer now or we are moving on, then we could have actually secured it for the price that we had initially recommended to you. And then after missing out on that first property, our clients, they become buyer's agents themselves. They're sending us links on from realestate.com and domain from that suburb. Shabbab, let's buy this one. Shabbab, let's submit an offer for that one. And we're like, yeah, but hang on, these are the ones that we have rejected because of X, Y, and Z. So even though you think it's a good deal, let us do the research and recommend them to you, right?
I think in my opinion, where the key factor is, including data and everything else, the control of emotion.
Correct.
Because being a buyer, I'm emotionally driven, right? I'm like, oh, this looks amazing, without reading the fine lines, which you have read 20 times over.
Yep, absolutely. And look, and I think that's where transparency comes in. That's what I remember about my buyer's agent. He did not give me any transparency.
We need to have an offline chat about this.
I already have.
So I think with the data, then you will feel like what we do is we present the data, we provide the pros and cons, and we tell our clients, look, the decision is yours. This is the due diligence we have done. Feel free to ask us more questions. Feel free to challenge us, right? It's very important that, fine, we might miss out on 1 or 2 properties. But when we buy the third one, it's very important that you don't have any regrets.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Because again, I started this business servicing my friends and family members, and some of them are really annoying. Sorry, my clients. Like, if you're watching this, I'm apologizing to you, but you guys are. And if I force them to buy something they're not comfortable with, they're gonna show up on my home every weekend and whinge about it during dinner or lunch, right? So I couldn't take that, right? And that's why, like, expectation management with data is the best way to do the deal, right? So, and always understanding, we are always respectful that clients will be emotional, right? Because most of the clients we are servicing, they've worked really hard. A lot of my clients are actually from migrant background, like myself. So they're not trust fund babies, right? So they actually had to work their off to save up 100 to 150K. So we tried our best to, like, understand their emotions, understand that they will be skeptic, and try to dial down the emotions through data. And ended up doing, I think, 49 deals now since we started.
Yes.
So yeah, let's say that strategy works now.
And, we're all aware of the fact that Australia is probably going through one of the worst rental crises ever. I work in higher ed and I see international students coming in and not finding a property to rent because they don't have a rental history. It's like graduating and then applying for a job which says you need 3 years of experience, but I graduated yesterday. So in terms of, say, this rental crisis, how have you seen investor mindset change in terms of, say, location or type of property?
So look, I think the rental crisis did get a lot of investors out there, I think 2 years ago, because a lot of the investors actually, by data, 90% of the investors, when they're looking to invest, all they look at is how much rent am I going to get? Is it going to cover 100%, if not 80% of my mortgage payments? In Sydney, you probably wouldn't even cover 50% of your mortgage payments unless you buy a unit or a townhouse. But they try to look into markets where they think, like, for example, Parramatta, for example, Macquarie Uni, or Macquarie Park, right? That, okay, so I know that these are the areas which are, like university locations. And if I buy a unit or apartment over here, there will be no shortage of renters.
Yeah.
Right? None of them bothers to check the data, though. Rent, like, vacancy rate in these areas are the highest because there is no shortage of new units and apartments coming in.
Yeah.
And they forget to tie 1 and 2 is that if there is so much, supply of units and apartments coming in this area, is my investment property going to grow in value? Because the next buyer will always have a better deal. They will always buy a newer apartment for the same price because there will be 10 more available next year.
Because there's no differentiating factor with units, right? So you've got the same layout for like 20 stories. So
correct. Cookie cutters.
Suki cutters, exactly.
So yeah, like, I think 90% of the Australians are actually accidental investors. Funny, some of them don't even think of property investment as something that's going to grow, that could potentially grow in the short term to middle term or like within 5 years. They just look at it as a tax tool, like negative gearing strategy. Negative gearing is a tool that helps you in terms of growing your wealth, but you should be investing in property if you want the capital growth. Not to just save your tax, because for negative gearing, for those who are watching, it's like you're paying $1 to save 30 cents. That's how negative gearing works.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not a strategy. It's a tool that helps in property investment. But yeah, like, that's we probably need to do a better job of educating others in terms of knowing this.
And talking about emotion, one topic which always intrigues me is auctions, and we have had so many chats about this. So, recent story, a cousin of mine went to an auction for an so-and-so, property agent at Glenwood. where her budget was 2 mil, the agent knew, and the agent said, the highest bidder that I have is 1.9 mil. At 2 mil, the property is yours. So she's very excited. She went in, she had the pre-approval and everything. Property sold for 2.4 and the reserve was 2.35. So, and we've seen this like on and off in the media as well, right?
Yeah.
So being a buyer's agent, how can you help in these situations where auctions are so far inflated that, common people, they just get driven by emotion and, at the end of the day, it's nothing around what they expected. It's all hyped emotion and it's all a hype market where you just go in and you just have to go with the flow. I mean, how do you guys come in here and help and regulate?
I think so. Two things, right? Luckily, most of our clients are investors, right? So we try to let them know that we are securing a property for you. First thing is keep your emotions in check. Yes, you will get them because you're only human, right? But be open to dialing your emotions down when we present the facts to you, right? So for a client of ours who, by the way, this client actually went to the number one buyer's agent and then he came to us and he was so happy with our service. He actually wanted to offer us $1,000 more because we were apparently $7,000 to $8,000 cheaper than what he has paid the number one buyer's agent.
We need to talk about this. No, one buyer, maybe a different episode for this.
So we were buying him an investment property in Melbourne, and I'm going to reveal some suburb names over here, right? So this was Craigieburn in January, right? And Craigieburn in January was buzzing. It was booming. We were going to auctions where the auction guide was $550, $560 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom or 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. The properties were selling at $700K. So I know for Sydney-siders, this is probably nothing. You broke guys, what are you talking about? Like we sell properties over here at 2 million. But for Craigieburn and in Melbourne back in January, especially when there was a lot of negative media talks about how you should not invest in Melbourne because Melbourne prices are going down and there's land tax, high stamp duty, blah blah blah. To see this in front of us where properties were selling 20% more than their auction guide was actually surprising. And we went and attended a couple of auctions for our client, right? But we were just standing there, right? When our budget for the property, what we valued that property at 610. It went all the way up to 650, 660. We just waited for the price to get to 608 and we submitted 610 and we failed. I told my buyer, that's fine. We'll get you another property.
Yeah, you go.
What we did, we focused on another property, which was also listed for auction, but we secured it right before auction because we submitted the offer at auction conditions. We knew what was the right value for this property. We told them, hey, look, you can wait another 3-4 weeks to, to sell this property at auction, or we can save you time. Mind you, now that, the market is heating up, a lot of the investors are also cashing out their investment property. So before the supply increases, you should sell the property to us, right? So long story short, we secured a property for Avinash at 610K. It's a 600 square meter property in Craigieburn. Current valuation of that property is 685. This client can also potentially subdivide this property because it's in a general residential zone. And it's a solid rectangular property. So he's got plenty of space in the backyard, probably around 300 square meter to build another unit or a townhouse. Right? So to answer your questions about auctions is avoid them. Unless you're buying a home that you really want and you're buying to live in, then obviously, it's be my bet. Like go to the auction and afford, submit the offer, the highest price that you can afford, right? And if you win it, that's great. You've got no regrets because you wanted it and you were offered whatever you could afford, because you would probably have worked all your life and made all these investments to buy the property that you really want, right?
Yeah.
So what you value it at doesn't have to do anything with what the market values it at.
Like
Right.
know when to stop, basically.
Correct. Correct. But if you're buying a property for investment, don't go to auctions at all.
Yeah.
If you see that it's an auction property, try and submit an offer prior to auction. They're not going to accept it, move on. If needed, go to the neighboring suburb.
Yeah. Okay.
So there might be potentially a ripple effect happening. So, like we went from Craigieburn to Roxburgh Park to Jacana to Dallas and all the northern suburbs in January last year or prior to January. Right now, we're not investing over there. Those markets have already grown by 20%. Now we're looking at other markets.
Right. With emotions as well, with auctions, I think the regulations as well, right? So, because if you buy private treaty, when you buy, the bank gets to tell you, no, you're paying too much.
Yep.
Because the bank could put a valuation.
Yep.
But in auction, whatever the price goes to, that's what the bank will have to accept.
Yeah.
I think that regulation is another.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's also whether like clients need to know if that's something that, again, it all comes to due diligence as well, right? One of our partner buyers agents, Zaim, who's a good friend of yours, he just recently purchased his property at auction. I told him, bro, do you love this property? Do you see yourself making out? Forget all the buyer's agency shit, right? Do you love these properties? Do you see yourself living here with your wife, with your kid, having a good life? Is this the home that you wanted? Is this the postcode that you always wanted? He said, yes. Then let's just sit quietly. Let's wait for the guide to come within your highest asking price. If it doesn't come to that, then that's great. We will offer where the bidding is slowing down. But if it comes to your highest, budget, then that's where we will submit our final offer.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it's great. The property is yours. If it doesn't, we'll find another one like this.
Yeah, of course.
And he ended up buying that property and he's enjoying it.
Over the moon.
Over the moon, renovating it, and the property is so nice. I really love it as well. It has got a pool.
Yes. Yeah. Seen photos.
Yeah.
So, Shabbab, you've been in the property, probably the business, over the last year, I guess. But you've
1.5 years. Yeah.
1.5 years. But you've been in the property market, doing your own research, investing, and so forth.
Yeah.
Just a curiosity I have is because I always like land. Anytime I give an investment, if I want to buy one, I like land. But you see the whole market. You've been seeing the whole market for a while now.
Yep.
What do you reckon? Do you think the demand is shifting towards particular types of property over the years? Like are people coming more towards units and townhouses now and foregoing land, or are people going back to land?
I think units and townhouses, the demand is growing in units and townhouses. In some areas,
Yeah.
It's actually good to invest in units and townhouses, right?
Right.
Which was never the case in the last 2 or 3 years.
No.
Because for the price of that unit and townhouses, you can always find a freestanding house somewhere in the rest of Australia,
Right.
right? But now, buying a unit or townhouses in, some of like the inner Melbourne suburbs, where there is actually not enough supply of new stock coming in.
Yeah.
Again, the same principle of demand to supply applies, right? So it can be for unit, it can be for townhouses, it might be for apartments as well. And I don't know, like whether we will live to see that. But for units and townhouses, like take Craigieburn for an example. There was not enough supply of new units and townhouses coming in Craigieburn as well, right? And that's why there was a big demand for those 600 square meter lots, right? Because those are the kind of properties which was interesting the first home buyers, because they could get into the property market, get those first home buyer benefits, because the price is around that 5 to 600K in Melbourne.
Right.
At the same time, it was also attracting developers as well, because it could be subdivided to build units and townhouses, because there is no developable land in Craigieburn. there is in the neighboring suburbs like Donnybrook and stuff, but there's not much in Craigieburn. So that's why those kinds of properties were the perfect storm at that point in time. And that's why we got our clients those kinds of properties, right? So it all depends, right? Again, comes down to the brief of the clients.
Right.
What is their strategy? What is their budget? What is their affordability? What do they want to achieve out of this investment, right? And a lot of clients that you will get, they're actually clueless. They actually have no idea. So sitting down with them and helping them to construct the strategy is also part of what we do as well.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Because I heard from somewhere is, so I'm gonna
Name names.
no. I'm gonna outline a famous quote here, but I don't know who I heard it from. Probably from one of my ex-corporate bosses. So, failing to plan is like planning to fail. So we actually sit down with our clients for 2 to 3 weeks to construct the strategy, the perfect brief before starting to pursue the property.
2 to 3 weeks for the
2 to 3 weeks.
That's it.
Right? Yes, we might miss out on some very good properties in this 2 to 3. At least by the end of this process, we will know what is it that you really want,
That's excellent.
and what is it that you really need.
Yeah.
Or what you can get.
And I think it's also important to understand that no budget is a small budget. There's always something somewhere that you can benefit from. So just have the chat and, see how you go.
Absolutely. I've got clients who bought, I myself bought a 2,000 square meter property in Queensland for $330,000.
That's brilliant.
It's a freestanding home and I'm getting rental income to pay my mortgage. Right? I bought it as my self-managed super fund property. Right? So obviously now you can't buy a freestanding home with 2,000 square meter of land, but you could always, like, what you think that you can afford, you will have to double check that with data in front of you.
Speaking of affordability, there's some rate cuts that have been happening. And there's a lot of information flying around about these rate cuts. As a buyer's agent, you obviously track these a lot. Can you explain to the listeners or the viewers what exactly happened and what you expect the ripple effect of this to be in the future, and what this means the buyers need to do to prepare themselves for whatever is about to happen?
Oh, this is a tricky topic because I see so many property gurus, economists making forecasts on the rate cuts, and then the RBA is like, you, we're gonna change this, we're gonna hold, right? And then when everyone's saying hold, then they say, oh, we're gonna drop, right? So it's a tricky topic, and please, I'm no economist. I'm just an investor myself, and also helping other investors like me. I definitely feel that the rates are going to continue to go down, at least for a few years. So again, now is probably not the right time to fix your home loans or investment property loans. Again, this is general advice. Each and everyone's individual situation is different.
It's different, yeah.
And they should explore it with their mortgage broker, right? And in these scenarios as well, like I think, they should think about how they can actually lower their home loan, the home that they're living in, by taking equity out from the investment properties, right? Because your principal and interest mortgage that you're paying, that's not tax deductible. Your interest payments on the investment properties are tax deductible. So pretty much paying probably same or less amount of money per month, but you are also able to get a tax deduction. So in the financial year, that will help you as well, right? So yeah, I think, again, so that's what I am doing for my properties. But each and every client or each and every investors or viewers who are watching this, they should explore this with their mortgage broker. Not make decision based on podcast and what they see on Facebook groups.
And speaking of, I think you briefly mentioned first home buyers.
Yes.
Speaking of first home buyers, huge buzz in the market with the recent announcement.
Yeah.
And, it's coming sooner than we think. October, I think.
1st of October.
1st of October
Yeah.
this year, where, it's 5%.
How the internet with that
Exactly.
announcement.
Yeah,
Right.
no caps in income, no cap in the number of individuals, and prices in each state hiked up to, say, amounts we did not think would be possible.
Yes.
What's your take? Is the market gonna explode?
Okay, so you got me really pumped talking about this question, mainly because since this announcement has been done, I think I've done at least 4 different calls with 4 different clients. Right. Some are clients in the pipeline, and some are clients who have already signed up with us, bought into the strategy of buying an investment property. All of a sudden, they want us to pause their pursuit and focus on buying their first home, preferably in Sydney. One specific client asked me this example that, hey, Shabbab, with all of these first home buyer grant and everything, I could potentially buy a $1.2 million property here in Sydney, probably in Box Hill, and live in it as well, which will save my rent. Or I can buy these 600K properties in somewhere in Victoria in investment, right? So even for the 600K property, I will be requiring a 100K deposit. So why would I, if 100K is going to buy me a $1.2 million home, why would I buy a 600K asset, right? So for this particular client, we sat down and we did a full scenario analysis. Scenario 1, Sydney PPOR. Scenario 2, Victoria investment property.
Right.
Right? We looked into the numbers. Even though you are going to have 100K deposit, it's actually very unclear in terms of what will be, let's say, the concessional stamp duty at 1.2 million. But we assume that at 100K, he would be able to buy a $1.2 million home. Currently, this client is paying $550 per week rent. So he will save that rent. But he will be servicing 95% of $1.2 million.
$3 million, yeah. I think what people forget is you need to pay. Doesn't matter if the bank is giving you the pre-approval or not, or the government is paying for whatever.
Yeah, you still be having a $1.1 million loan. And the mortgage that you will be paying, if it's your first home, you'll be paying principal plus interest. The interest component of that first home is not tax deductible. And so we did the scenario just from a cash flow point of view. End of the financial year, your holding costs, like your costs would have gone up by more than 55 to 60K, right? By buying your Sydney principal place of residence. Whereas the Victoria property, you will be putting a 100K deposit to buy it because Victoria stamp duty is too high. I don't know, Victorians are really snobbish about their coffee, so that's why you have to pay a higher land tax. Anyways.
And land tax varies across states.
Right. It's like $1,100 to $1,300 per year, right? So, but that investment property is probably going to cost you only $4,000 to $5,000 per financial year. Because the rent from that property will cover most of the mortgage. And you're not taking a $1.1 million loan. Right? Now let's talk about growth. This client was saying, I asked him, okay, entertain me. If you were going to buy in Sydney, where would you buy in Sydney? Because it can't be for investment only. You will also have to like the location, right? Because you need to live in there and you need to commute to work. What is an ideal suburb for you? And then he came up with Box Hill, right? And we then showed him that, okay, so if you're going to buy a home in Box Hill for 1.2 million, and mind you, this client is wanting to buy his first home, thinking that the $1.2 million property will grow more in value, or at least grow at the same rate as the Victoria investment property, right? Now, through data, what we showed him is Box Hill currently has a stock on market percentage of 10%. Whereas the investment property in Victoria or the suburb that we had shortlisted for him at 600K had that stock on market at 1.3%. So due to less supply, this investment property is more likely to grow in value or higher growth rate compared to the PPOR in Box Hill. But hey, look, prior growth is not a indicator for future growth, right? Box Hill can grow to 1.5 or 1.6 or 2 million. There's some properties in Box Hill which are already selling at 3 million. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So first-home buyers grant is definitely going to explode the market. Like, okay, but have you checked the building approvals for new supply coming in Box Hill? That's over 5% as well, right? Whereas this suburb in Victoria has got no building approvals,
Yeah.
right? So
It's already saturated.
correct. So now what do you think? Which one is a more sensible investment decision, right? So I told him, look, if you want to buy a home to live in, you don't care about the growth. This first-home buyer scheme is for those people. They've done their investments, or like they don't care about investments. They just want to buy a home to live in. They want to grow their family in it. A home is all they wanted to ever buy. This scheme is designed by the government to help them, not for people to take advantage of this scheme and build wealth, because these schemes like this only pushes you to markets which are struggling to grow, which is where there is a lot of houses to sell, right? So I hope I was not overly long with my response.
I live in Gothville, 9 minutes. Like
It's a great
there's
suburb.
constructions everywhere.
Yeah, it's a great suburb. Our mutual friend, a cousin, lives over there.
Yeah, right.
I've been there as well. I used to live in Schofields, which is not so different from Box Hill, right? So, but yeah, I would never invest in these areas.
I love how pumped up you got with that question. Changed his position a little. While you are pumped up, I think we are actually towards the end of this discussion with you.
That's great. I'm just going to quickly call my Uber as well in case I don't miss my flight.
Just a couple of things that we do have. We have a tradition at Chilli Flakes. We have a rapid fire round, which you answers whatever your first instinct is.
I'm wearing my bulletproof vest that I can protect.
We have tried to sort of tailor this around your industry, but there's going to be some fun stuff. But we'll go, and nothing you really win. It's just probably a fist bump you win from us.
Try my best. Do I need to answer them on 1 or 2 words or a short sentence?
Just fire away. Speed is the name of the game.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So start with the first question. You're heading to an auction. You rocking in sneakers or a full-blown power suit?
As a buyer's agent or as a buyer?
As a buyer's agent.
Yeah, I'll rock up the suit. Why not?
Okay. Worst open home vibe that you've been to? We have some examples like burnt toast smells or creepy dolls, or there's other real estate agents looking at you behind a pillar.
Dog piss.
Dog piss.
Try dog piss. Try looking at a bathtub which had blood in it.
Ooh. I don't know if we're going to try it, but good to know.
So that's what happened. I also went to a property where there was a mattress with blood stains in it, right? So it was not an open home, actually. It was after the property was purchased. But yeah, that will be a discussion for another podcast, I think.
Or maybe offline right after this. One suburb you'd fight with someone over if they said it was overrated.
There are actually many suburbs like that. So very hard question. I would say Berwick, probably in Melbourne, where I live in. A lot of people think it has grown a lot in the last few years. I think it still has a long way to go. So I'm not trying to pump the market there just because I live in there. But yeah, I think that suburb will be, to be honest, there are $2 to $3 million suburbs in the next few years.
Good. What's sexier, a killer floor plan or off-market access?
For buying a property to live in, killer floor plan, all day, any day. But for investment, off-market access, all day, every day.
You got $5 million and 30 minutes to blow it. Where are you buying and where? What are you buying and where?
In 10 seconds.
It's very hard to answer that in 10 seconds. in Gold Coast, a beachside property. Gold Coast, my wife and I, we loved it. And Gold Coast, I still think it's going to grow in value as well. And the life is just amazing over there.
You versus a real estate agent, a seller's agent. What's your signature move to close it?
Look, we think this is our final offer. If not, we're just going to go with another one. So we really just don't have the time to wait on this. So time bomb, 24-hour time limit with the offers that we submit.
What's more stressful, the auction day or running into someone you hate at an open home?
I run into a lot of fellow buyers agents during open homes. I won't say I hate them. I actually love all of them.
Yes.
But I would say I think auctions. I hate auctions, to be honest. Like we've only bought like one property prior to auction. For investments, I think if the properties are already going to auction, the ship has already sailed. You want to go into the neighboring suburbs where there is no auctions happening yet.
I think the feeling is mutual from a buyer's perspective as well.
Yeah.
Me too. I'll talk about an auction issue ahead. No, I think the answers were really good.
Yeah, and Shabbab, thank you for sharing your wisdom. It was we had an absolute blast having you on the show today. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, follow us on our socials, and stay locked in for more game-changing conversations. Big thanks to Daniel and team at Mic'd Up, and a huge thanks to Eid for powering today's episode. Until next time, keep hustling, keep investing smart, and let your money work harder than you do. We'll catch you in the next one.